MPs sitting on the Women and Equalities Committee have suggested that the government should introduce a period of paid leave for menopausal women. There was going to be potentially a trial, and this was somebody in the public sector, but among other things, there's concern, Emma, that this would be discriminatory to men.
That's a bizarre line to me. We do not know enough about the menopause. We don't have enough medical information. We don't have enough understanding of it in society. And I know this because 3 years ago, it smacked me in the face quite hard. And all of the things that I thought about menopausal symptoms that are basically a joke until you get to it are much more complex than you realise. Brain fog is so real and terrifying. Hot flushes, I thought hot flushes were a bit of a joke when you see them on the TV or whatever. It's like a 20-minute flu. It's bizarre. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. On the other hand, this is 50% of the population are going to go through this. So we need to have better medical understanding. I think most women my age want to keep working and don't want to take a great deal of leave. I certainly don't. I mean, I'm a freelancer, so I couldn't. But I do think we need better understanding of how to have just simple workplace adjustments to make it easier for people who are experiencing what can be quite debilitating symptoms that you don't recognise and understand how debilitating they are until you go through them. To make sure that we're OK.
David Kurten?
I think this story is hilarious because, first of all, it's the Women and Equalities Committee in Parliament, which is the most woke body in the whole of the parliamentary estate. And they're trying to find a problem which doesn't exist and a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. I mean, there's never, ever been a need for menopause leave. OK, there's maternity leave, yes, and then you have paternity leave as well. But they're just trying to create another thing in order to justify their existence. And then they realise, well, if we do this, the people who are even more woke say, well, we can't do this because this might be offensive to men and affect men's equality because they see everything through the prism of the Equality Act. And in fact, that has then scuppered them from doing something which they didn't need to do in the first place. So they're tying themselves up in knots.
If me and you were colleagues and I was, you know, off on paid, not maternity leave, paid menopause leave, would you think to yourself, hang on a minute, why is she getting an extra 10 days off paid and I'm not? Would that offend you?
I should have midlife crisis leave as well, you know, because that would only be fair and equal.
Why? Are you having a midlife crisis?
No, I'm not myself, but just in case I did, I should do because, you know, you have something, women have something, men should have something as well. I think, you know,
well,
that's what the Equality Act says, and that's what you have to do. So the whole thing is you've got woke people tying themselves up in knots with wokery.
Jim says, I've got no problem with women having some kind of time off granted. I'm very embarrassed as a man that there might be some men who think it's unfair. It means we men don't go through the mass kind of hormonal changes that women do. Let the women have what they need within reason, he says.
Reasonable.
Yes, but I like the within reason.
Yeah, the within reason is absolutely right. I mean, and you do have to have... And I would say that there should be a range of workplace adjustments where, I mean, most of the time I can work absolutely fine. Every now and again it does smack you around. And when you're, as I have been, moving into HRT and that can have an immediate effect and then a long-term effect... I'm much better now that my HRT is pretty much settled and sorted. But before that was right, I was having 3 or 4 debilitating hot flushes a day. Now, I didn't need to take a whole day's leave, but I certainly needed half an hour to go and lie in a darkened room. And frankly, David, if any man at that point had told this very hormonal woman that I didn't have a real problem, you would have had a real problem.